The morning sun was bright, pouring its soft golden light over the bustling city streets as Arvon Hale, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country, stepped out of his sleek black car. People turned to look at him the way they always did, curiosity mixed with admiration, and sometimes envy. He walked with confidence, the kind that came from years of success, power, and the belief that nothing could shake his world. But that belief began to crack the moment a frail voice rose behind him, trembling yet urgent enough to slice through the noise of traffic. It was a young beggar girl, dusty clothes clinging to her thin frame, her eyes wide with fear as she stared at the meal he had just purchased from a street vendor. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that change the heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, good soul. Your support helps us spread more inspiring stories. Arvon paused only because of the strange desperation in her gaze. The girl, who looked no older than 13, shook her head fiercely as she stammered again. Her name, he would later learn, was Saera, and despite having nothing, she carried a depth of empathy many wealthy people lacked. Arvon almost dismissed her, assuming she wanted attention or pity, but something in her eyes, something painfully sincere, made him look at the food he was about to eat. Then he saw it. A small, rusted piece of metal, hidden under the sauce, sharp enough to cut someone deeply or worse. His stomach tightened. Someone had tried to harm him, or perhaps it was carelessness. Either way, the girl had protected him from danger without knowing who he was. Shock washed through him, and for the first time in a long time, Arvon felt vulnerable. Saera stepped back, expecting anger, perhaps a scolding, but instead he only studied her trembling hands and the way she kept glancing at the food as if reliving a fear she felt too often. She told him she had seen someone drop the metal shard when the vendor wasn't looking, and she had been worried but afraid to speak, until she saw him about to take a bite. There was no gain for her, no reward. She had simply cared. As the afternoon sun warmed the pavement, Arvon found himself unable to walk away. Something about Saera reminded him of the pieces of himself he had buried years ago, the boy who once knew struggle, who knew what hunger felt like, who dreamed of helping others before fortune hardened him. He asked her gently where she lived, and her silence was answer enough. She had no home, only a torn blanket near the bridge and a few scattered coins she collected each day. Life had been unkind to her, yet she had risked that small voice to save him. Arvon felt a heaviness in his chest as he watched her speak. Despite being exhausted and hungry, Saera smiled apologetically, as though she had inconvenienced him. She said she warned people often when she saw danger, but most ignored her. Some even mocked her. She had grown used to indifference. The scene stirred something in Arvon that he hadn't felt in years, a mix of guilt and awakening. He realized how many people like her he passed every day without truly seeing them. He had built skyscrapers, changed industries, and earned respect across nations, but somewhere in that journey he had forgotten how to be human. As the day carried on, Arvon invited her to have a proper meal at a nearby cafe. Saera hesitated at first, worried about being thrown out, but he assured her he would handle everything. Inside, the cool air and soft music wrapped around her like a forgotten warmth. She ate slowly at first, unsure if she deserved such comfort, but Arvon encouraged her gently, wanting her to feel safe. The more she talked, the more he realized how strong she was. Saera had lost her parents in an accident 2 years ago and had been surviving alone ever since. No relatives, no institutions had stepped in. Yet she hadn't let that pain turn her bitter. Instead, she helped strangers whenever she could, using the only thing she had, her heart. As they stepped back outside into the bright afternoon, Arvon knew he wasn't going to leave her on the streets again. He made calls, quick, decisive ones. Arrangements for temporary housing, a caretaker, food supplies, and eventually schooling. Saera didn't understand at first. Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness but from disbelief that someone finally saw her as more than a shadow on the pavement. Arvon felt a shift within himself, like a locked door finally opening. Saera's kindness had saved him physically, but in many ways, she saved something deeper, his compassion, long buried under years of ambition. And as he watched her step into her new shelter later that day, smiling shyly over her shoulder at him, Arvon realized that true wealth wasn't measured by skyscrapers or bank accounts, but by the difference one heart could make in another's life. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the streets, but for Arvon, it felt like the beginning of a new morning. For Saera, it felt like the first day of safety she had known in years. 2 lives changed because one small voice dared to speak, and one powerful man chose to listen.